Museum. But you would realize that it takes two to tango. So I will invite a great tango partner, Arthur Berger, with whom we've had, as I say, a long-time relationship, because without the goodwill and the active engagement of the Holocaust Museum, maybe we would have just viewed the films again here as we did last year in my home. So Arthur, over to you.
Let me first thank Elena, Ambassador Potlarova, for her gracious hosting of this reception and an opportunity to bring these families together in such a happy occasion. Usually when we talk about the Holocaust, we don't talk about good news. Here tonight, when you take a look at the generations that are here, that have been saved, that are reproducing, and that are carrying on the story, it really gives you inspiration to say, this world can really change. And that's what we're all about. Let me also acknowledge two of our leadership from the museum, two members of our governing council. Elena already mentioned former Secretary of Homeland Security Michael Chertoff, and also Amy Kaslow, who is here. They help guide us in the right way. And now 70 years after the end of the Holocaust, just when everybody thinks you can never learn anything more, anything new about what happened, we learned something new. There was someone who brought in a film last year, 3 Minutes in Poland, from a shtetl. His grandparents had visited this small town on a vacation trip in July of 1938, and also had a home movie projector. But we've had a lot of shtetl films, but nothing like this, because this adds the context. We know that, as Salvatore said, Bulgaria was an ally of Nazi Germany, part of the Axis powers. It was a reluctant member. We know that as well. It didn't want to enforce certain rules, but it did. There were racist laws against the Jewish community, confiscation of property, the wearing of a Jewish star, the forced labor brigades that LICCO Haim was on. But then you ask yourself, how did he take a camera with him? What was this all about? And when you see the films, and my colleague, Noemi Sikeli Popescu, did I pronounce it right? Hey, okay. When she shows you just a short snippet, about 3.5 minutes of this film, and she'll comment on them, you'll take a look and you'll see it's not all backbreaking work of chopping stones. There's some relaxation, some even family visitation. We did not know of this before. We're talking about 1940, 41, 42. I mean, the war was in full steam. So how did this all happen? Well, that's how we have to learn. Now, we need to do even more research. We need to find out, do we know any of the other people who are in these films? Can we track some of them down as well? And through this film that will be shown on the internet, can we convince people who escaped other countries, who survived the war, and who found things in their attics or their basements from their grandparents or their parents, can they come up and help us at the museum tell their story? Because this is what it's about. It's a human story. Noemi?
Hi, I'm Noemi Popescu, and I'm a member of the film team at the Holocaust Museum here in Washington, D.C. I just want to take a moment to thank Madame Ambassador for hosting this event. Thank you to the lovely staff. I don't see Petio and Christo, but I see you. Oh, there he is. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark London, so much for making this exemplary acquisition of historical film possible. And of course, foremost, I would like to thank the family. I would like to thank Salvatore and Ilko, you're both here, okay, for entrusting such a singular artifact to our film collection. What we are about to see is an overview of one of the very rare films that were donated to us by this family, which make up the LICCO Max Haim collection. This material is rare for a number of reasons. Firstly, little filmic documentation of forced labor in Bulgaria has been uncovered so far. Secondly, this is the very first time we have come across footage of a Jewish labor battalion filmed by a Jewish forced laborer. This is a first in Europe for us. And thirdly, this is the museum's very first acquisition of amateur film from Bulgaria. The film depicts Jewish forced laborers who are part of the Bulgarian army in LICCO, near Garabov, 40 kilometers northeast of Sofia. They were put to work building a road to improve motorway access from Sofia to the economically productive plain between the Danube and the Balkan Range. Forced labor camps in Bulgaria were set up in 1941, as my colleague Arthur mentioned. All male Bulgarian Jews aged 20 to 46 were sent to these camps to build roads and bridges. We have located the personnel roster for this very regimen. So we know that most of the Jewish men in this group depicted in this film were from the huge Bunar section of Sofia. Apologies if my Bulgarian pronunciation isn't very good. The relatively benign conditions that you will see on this film are from the first year of forced labor system. These conditions can be attributed to many factors, but one important factor is that the army overrode national legislature on official persecution during that first year. Many among the Jewish draftees had already completed military service and were returning to something like a soldierly fraternity at the time. But it's important to note that conditions did worsen after security forces took over from the military. The deterioration of conditions started in October of 1941, and these shots that were made by LICCO Haim were made in the summer of 41. So it's really important that you see that these shots predate the worsening conditions. So I'm going to go ahead